In the last video, we discussed about two natural state of an object, like state of rest and state of uniform velocity, that we call static and kinetic or dynamic equilibrium. So for an object is at rest or moving with uniform speed in a straight line, and these two are their natural states, then what's the effect of this? That means to change its state, you need to tell the object to change its state. So to change the state of an object, you need to tell that. So to change the state of an object, you need to communicate or to tell that object to change its state. That ways and means of that communication is what we call in physics term is apply force. So this applying, this word we say, no, you apply force. When you apply force, you are communicating with the object to change its state. Whether it is a state of rest or state of uniform velocity, you are telling the object to change its state. But just the mere application of force will not bring about change in state. One example is that there is a table on which you are keeping an object or a book or anything. You know that gravitational force is acting on this object all along, and it is in the downward direction. But the object which is kept on a table, it is at rest. Despite the fact that there is a force acting on that object, it has not brought about change in state of rest. So it is not changing from its state of rest. It is not moving at all because we are communicating with this object. Because when there is no force acting, and it is obvious that object will be at rest. But now there is a force acting on this object, and yet the object is not moving at all. It is not changing from its state of rest at all. Why? Because whenever the gravitational forces act, or since the gravitational force is acting on it all along, the gravitational force may be acting in the downward direction, but the force from the table which is balancing that gravitational force. That means the force, the effect produced by gravitational force is balanced by the effect of the force applied by the table. Force by the table on the object has balanced it. So that means to change the state of an object, it's not just the application of force, but when you apply a set of forces that are balancing each other, it will not bring about the change of an object. So to change the state of an object, you need to communicate. That communication is applying force, but the force that you apply should not be balanced, and it has to be unbalanced. So it is not just the application of force that bring about the change in state, it is the applying unbalanced force. Apply an unbalanced force. So to change the state of an object, you just don't need a force, you need an unbalanced force to act on it. But for the force to be unbalanced, you see this is chalk, and one person is pulling this in this direction, the other person is pulling in this direction. If both the persons are equally strong, then the forces are balanced. If one person is not strong, the other person is strong, and obviously the force is unbalanced, and this will start moving in the direction of the person who is stronger. Okay, but the other thing, for the force to be unbalanced, what are the conditions? There are two possible things here we are talking about. One is internal, the other one is external. When a set of external forces are acting, the set of forces may be balanced or unbalanced. So just like this case, where an external gravitational force acting on the object, but an external this force by the table is also acting on the object. Here a set of two external forces acting on an object, because these two forces are not arising from inside the object. Okay, these two forces are acting from outside the object, that's why they are called external objects. These external forces, sorry, not external object, external forces are not here bringing about the change in state because the forces are balanced. So a set of external forces may be balanced or may not be balanced. But because just in the case of a person who are pulling at two persons pulling at the same object, one person may be stronger or one person may be weaker, so that the forces may be unbalanced. But if the persons are equally stronger, then the forces are balanced. So when a set of external forces acting on an object, the force is sometimes balanced, sometimes not balanced. But there is a case opposite to that: internal forces. Internal forces, suppose we are going in a car and the car breaks down. In order to move the car, you have to come out of the car and push it, because from inside the car you are not able to push that, because whatever force you apply from inside the car, that will always be balanced. No matter how strong you are, you just have to come out of the car and push it, because when you are inside the car, you are part of the car. That's why when you apply force, that is called an internal force. A set of internal forces are always balanced, and I will tell you why in some other session. So a set of internal forces are always balanced, no matter how much amount of internal force you are doing, you are acting. So internal forces applying an unbalanced force. So force, there are two types: external forces and internal forces. External forces may or may not be balanced. Internal forces are always balanced. Always balanced. So that is why, to bring about change in state of the object from state of rest or state of uniform velocity, you just don't need an internal force, because internal forces are always balanced. What we need is an unbalanced force. That unbalanced force can only be an external force, it cannot be an internal force. An external force sometimes balanced, but we need an external unbalanced force to bring about the change in state of the object. So far what we have seen, there are two natural states for an object: state of rest and state of uniform velocity. Uniform velocity means object goes in a straight line with the same speed without changing its direction. Then there are two kinds of forces, that is internal forces, external forces. Internal forces are always balanced, and external forces are like kind of may be balanced or may not be balanced. What is a force? Ways and means of communicating with the object. So a force is an external, agent of talking to the object to change its state.